Oh, why were you asking again?
Because I'm just checking to see if you're okay.
Why would I?
If you're waiting on somebody, I need to know.
Do I look like I'm not okay?
No, I'm just saying, that's what I do. That's the job.
You ask everybody waiting in this lobby if they're waiting.
Normally, I don't have anybody waiting in this lobby.
There's a code over there.
That's
somebody.
a cleaner. I know who's here.
Okay.
I was just asking
But
if
isn't
you're
this a
waiting
place-
on somebody.
Isn't this a place for like breaks where people grab coffee, grab lunch? There's like a vending machine right there. Don't people come in here and sit and
Well,
eat?
yeah, patients. If they're patients, yes.
All right, and
It's
nobody
not-
else. What about
it's-
visitors of patients?
Huh?
What about the visitors of patients?
What do you mean visitors? If you're waiting on somebody, that's great.
Yeah, so
I have
wouldn't
no
that be
problem
the
with that. I
case?
just asked you for waiting
Wouldn't
on
it be
somebody.
more ruder to ask
Well, I'm not
somebody
trying to be
who's
rude at all.
enjoying their freedom, who's having a great time, enjoying their freedom, watching the video, drinking some coffee, having a great break, to interrupt that freedom, to ask them a question that they don't strike you. Well, from the surface of their appearance, they don't strike you as a person who doesn't have business in the.
Well, it is a business establishment.
in the
right?
hospital.
Well,
Well, from the
it's not a
surface,
hospital, it's a clinic.
or the clinic, or the
I'm
place
just
where they
making
are.
sure that
You're playing
I
semantics
have
now.
to check.
You interrupted my freedom, and I don't appreciate
Well,
it.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
It's a reality.
It is private property.
It is a reality, though. But they allow people to come here to have a cup of coffee and enjoy the vending machines. They do allow people to do that. This place allows that to happen. And you just interrupted what they
I'm sorry
allow
I
to happen.
interrupted that.
Don't do that. If someone asks you for help, you help them. If not, and let them enjoy their freedom.
Okay.
All right.
I hear you, man.
Thank
hear
you.
you. That's why
Thank
I said,
you. I love my
said
freedom. I
hello
love
to
my
you.
freedom. I love it. I love it.
That's
And I
great.
don't want it interrupted by anybody.
All right.
Okay. Especially someone who's supposed to represent gravity. You're supposed to have gravity, man. You're supposed to
I'm
witness.
representing you guys.
You're supposed to witness freedom and allow people to enjoy it. And you're supposed to have the strength to know the difference between freedom and criminal activity or anything like that. That's
Well,
why
I
you
never
have that
said
position.
I never
I'm
said
just
that at
saying.
all. I'm just
Or
asking if you're okay. You're waiting
or if
on
someone,
somebody?
to know
These
the
are
difference
general
if someone needs
questions that I
help
can
or
answer.
doesn't need help. You're supposed to know the difference when someone needs help and doesn't need help. That's why you're in a position of security. You have strength. You have gravity. You know the
But I
difference.
talk to all my customers.
But you have to respect their freedom. You have two jobs. You have to protect people and to let them enjoy their freedom. My cup of coffee, my time alone was my freedom.
Me
And you
asking
just
if you're
absolutely,
waiting on somebody
absolutely. I have to
It's
stop
just a general question.
because it's intrusive. Freedom has
This is a private property.
yeah, but you don't have a
No,
rationality.
that's private property.
You don't have a rationality to interrupt someone's break.
I'm just asking if you're waiting on somebody.
And again, you did something wrong. Whether
No,
it's
I
your
didn't do anything
opinion,
wrong.
you did something wrong, man. You did.
Hi, hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Patronizing. That's patronizing. So when someone sits here and they're enjoying their time, they don't want to be interrupted. And when you ask somebody from a position of gravity, do you have business here? It's almost as if the person isn't welcomed anymore. So you're trying to, you judged somebody from the surface. You judged somebody at the surface and told them, hey, you don't belong here. Or you might not belong here. And the presumption that they might not belong or might not have a reason to be here is insulting. For a moment, you just intruded on something sensible and for a moment you chose to insult somebody's freedom to sit and have coffee. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I have nothing to say to you. So for a moment you chose to insult someone's freedom. You know what I'm talking about. When somebody, if you've ever been in my position, you know how it feels when somebody walks up to you and interrupts you with a question that that makes you feel. Yes, you are. They were. He was supposed to. So now they're arguing with me. They just played something back that has nothing to do with what I just said with implants. So the reality is, you're supposed to have if you sat in a chair and somebody who's in security walks up to you and says, do you have any business here? Or are you waiting? Are you waiting for somebody here? In that very moment, you feel like you don't have a right to be wherever you're sitting, right? That's exactly how people feel when somebody questions that they're clearly sitting for that it's not obvious they belong where they are, or it's not obvious they have a right to be where they are, right? So nevertheless, that security guard was supposed to recognize that there is nothing wrong. So when I came here and I decided to sit down, I absolutely had a right to be here. When I came here and I decided to enjoy the cup of coffee that was offered for guests, to sit here and enjoy this cup of coffee, it's a freedom. It's offered to guests. So they offer guests coffee, and they offer people time to also charge their phone. So this whole time I've been sitting here, my phone has been charging. It had 15% power. So I had an appointment. I got through my appointment. I got and my phone was dying. So I decided to come down here and charge it and to enjoy this cup of coffee. But I guess over the last 20 minutes or 25 minutes, the security guard who passed around here and walked past me, said hi. I just waved to him. I didn't speak back. He decided that I was here for too long. I must have been sitting here for too long of a period of time. And I told him, hey man, you shouldn't interrupt someone's peace. Well, it's not peace, it's their freedom. Their freedom to sit here and enjoy a cup of coffee without being interrupted by anybody, especially someone in a position of authority, who should be able to tell the difference between someone who has a reasonable appearance or who is enjoying the space. Enjoying the space. This is a nice space to be in. It's a quiet, empty space. And someone who's just sitting there quietly, not bothering anybody, to walk up to them and then interrupt their freedom to enjoy the space, it's intrusive. You are intruding. No matter what question you ask, especially if it's one that isn't helpful, that's inquisitive or pries into their privacy. When you come to a hospital, you expect privacy as well. So you expect to be left alone. You expect your peace. Well, not your peace, your freedom to occupy the space. So when someone intrudes on your freedom, your reasonable expectation to enjoy the lounge, this quiet, empty lounge with a cup of coffee and watching a YouTube video, or watching, utilizing your cell phone at the same time, you don't expect someone to walk up to you, stop what you're doing, to ask you a question if you belong in the hospital, or if you have business inside the hospital. That's not what people expect from someone in authority. That person who's in authority is supposed to know the difference between someone using this space for a purpose. This space has a purpose. It's for people to enjoy the vending machine, or to have their lunch, or to wait for their doctor's appointment, or to wait after the doctor's appointment and have some coffee, or to charge their phones. This is what this space is for. So as long as that security officer saw me in this space, enjoying a cup of coffee, and using what freedoms I'm allowed to have, he was not supposed to interrupt what I was doing. If I was here smoking a cigarette, taking my clothes off, or had my shoes, had one shoe off, if I was doing things that they don't allow people to do inside this space, then I would imagine it would be okay for the security guard to ask questions. I imagine it would be reasonable for a security guard to walk up to you and ask you, hey, what are you doing? Do you have business here? Are you waiting on someone? Because what you're doing doesn't look like the type of behavior that is expected for people who occupy this space. It is a freedom for all people to come in here, sit down, have a cup of coffee, wait for their appointment, or wait for the next appointment, or wait after their appointment and charge their phone. This space has that purpose. So, and it's funny, the security guard knew exactly whose coat that was. So not only does he know the people who work here, he knows what clothes they wear to work. So the either he's watching me as we speak, or he's in which he would know that I was utilizing this space for the purpose it's designed to be utilized for, which would mean there's no cause to interrupt me. It was a freedom for me to sit here, enjoy my cup of coffee while I was charging my phone. That was absolutely a freedom. To interrupt that freedom would be no different than to violate this hospital. To interrupt that freedom would be nothing less than intrusive, invasion of privacy, or upsetting. It would be upsetting, nothing less than upsetting, even if it was momentary, because that moment you stole from them was a moment you stole from their freedom. And the question was as inquisitive as the questions people ask that invade your privacy or judge you. It's a judgmental question. From the surface, he made a decision that I didn't belong here, or he was inquiring if I had a right to be here, which is insulting. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a reasonable, justifiable reason to be here. So he's questioning your right to be in this space. And that's just as insulting. It's like there's taking your right to be here and interrupting the freedom you have to enjoy the space. And that's what that security guard was supposed to not do. He was supposed to witness people enjoying their freedom and not interrupting them or stopping people he had a reasonable expectation to believe were not supposed to be in this space. By people, and the only signs he could have of that are people who are doing things that are inappropriate actions. So somebody who, a sign that you're doing something inappropriate is somebody who's breaking things, or somebody who's moving chairs around. Inappropriate behavior inside the hospital, but having a cup of coffee and sitting down, enjoying a video quietly by yourself is not the signs that a security guard in a position of authority should approach somebody to ask them hey, are you supposed to be here? So his job was not to interrupt me. His job was to ensure that the place was safe. How can I?
Talk to my boss already.
Yeah.
You can videotape the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'm going to videotape it. Are you here for a medical reason? Are you just taking a break, having a coffee? Are you waiting for something?
Is this not lobby not allowed for guests?
No.
It's not allowed for guests?
Well, not if you're here not for medical reasons.
But answering that question would be evasion of my privacy.
No, it's not, because it's private property.
Right, but if you were invited here, if I was invited here by this company, by this private company,
I'm not going to answer my questions.
But what if I was?
I'm going to ask you to leave, please.
I'm asking. Okay, all right, sounds good. I'm going to post you on YouTube. But my question is, if I was invited here and I told you I was and I proved I was, wouldn't that give you like personal medical information?
Sir, I asked you if you were waiting for someone. You could have said
You're not
yes.
answering the question.
And now I'm asking you, are you here for a medical purpose?
Why else would I be in the hospital? And how could I prove to you if I was here for a medical reason without giving you personal medical information?
And I'm guarded by a HIPAA.
But you aren't a doctor. You aren't a doctor.
Personal information.
But you aren't a doctor. So how can I prove that I was here or I am here for a medical purpose?
And what time did you get here?
I don't recall. But my question is, how can I prove it?
You don't have to prove it. I'm asking you right now if you're waiting.
Holy shit! Do you hear this, man?
For a medical reason.
But you understand I'd have to tell you my doctor, who my doctor was?
I'm just asking you where you went. You know, I can go back and check it out if you want, but I'm just asking you why you were here.
Isn't that invasive?
It's private property.
Yeah,
so
but
if you can't walk into someone else's place, and just do what you want.
They invited me here. If they invited me, I'm so sorry.
Who?
If they invited me here, I would have to give you personal information, right? Is that right or wrong?
If they invite you, the person who invited you is not personal information because they are employees of SSM.
Yeah, and between me and that employee, they know that I was sent here. I was given an invitation to come here.
The point is, I asked you if you were waiting for a patient. You wouldn't answer any of my questions.
Well, could I be the patient?
Are you being here for a medical reason?
Could I have been the patient? Do I have to wait for somebody? Your scope is really narrow. You came in here for a singular purpose that doesn't encompass every reason people arrive to this clinic.
Because I have to make sure that I'm closing certain parts of the clinic, as far as staff leaving and everything like that.
This dude he knows he's wrong now. All right, I'm gonna prove I'm right. That I have a reason. I have a reason. I have a right. I had a rational reason to come here, and I have a reason to enjoy this cup of coffee while my phone is charging. I was invited to come to this hospital to get a flu shot, and after I got my flu shot, my phone was dying. I decided to come down here to charge my phone and have a cup of coffee. You had no right whatsoever.
Right.
No, you do not. Because I just gave you personal medical information.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Tell me your name.
Yes, I did. I just told you the medical reason I came here, which is private information. That is you're supposed to go ask a doctor.
There's a flu clinic.
You were supposed to ask a doctor or a person who works in this clinic. Hey, does anybody know the guy that's sitting downstairs? Or you're supposed to go back through the cameras. You could have rewound the cameras and figure out exactly where I went before I got to this chair. Yes, you could have.
It doesn't cover any patient areas.
No, but you could have seen me go into a patient area. So that would mean I was a patient. So you could have done a lot of things before you came down here. You violated my medical reasons. You intruded on my freedom, and you did it on purpose because you have a vindictive attitude about a stranger sitting in the coffee area.
I'm supposed to pay attention to the whole thing.
Yes, and you're supposed to know the difference between someone enjoying this space like they're supposed to and someone doing inappropriate things inside this space. I was enjoying this space exactly the way it's supposed to be enjoyed, and you decided to intrude on that freedom.
Because
for no reasonable reason.
Open would be urgent care.
It doesn't look. You're coming out here with narrow scope. And that's an invasion of you're using it to justify invading my privacy.
I'm just going to ask you to leave. Thanks.
I'm going to talk to your boss. I'm going to talk to your supervisor.
You're going to talk to my supervisor.
What'd you say?
I'm going to ask you to leave.
What's your name?
Right there.
Andrew. There's got to be a boss here. Somebody's in charge of the security.
Yeah, I'm with.
Who's in charge of you?
The guy that I already talked to.
Can I talk to him?
No.
Can I talk to a medical person who works
Do you
in the
want to be seen?
I was already
Then
seen.
check in with urgent care.
All right. They have bosses.
I'm asking you to leave.
What, and for what reason? I don't have a right to be here?
You didn't tell me anything until now.
Because I didn't have to.
I'm asking you why you're visiting a private clinic. It is private.
Because I was invited. I was invited to have medical attention taken care of.
A flu shot.
Yes.
Okay. And why didn't you explain that the first time?
Because I didn't have to. It was my private medical information, and I wasn't supposed to have to tell you that unless I was doing something inappropriate.
It doesn't have to do with inappropriate.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it did. That's not how things work. You're supposed to watch people enjoy their freedom. You're not supposed to invade their rights. And since I wasn't doing anything wrong, you weren't supposed to kick me out either.
Well, you wouldn't answer any of my questions.
Because they let me come here.
I just asked you if you were here for waiting on a patient or you were here for a medical reason.
And I was.
The medical reason is obviously you went and got a flu shot.
Yes. And
I
came down for a
with you enjoying your coffee. But someone coming up to you does not incite that I'm narrow-minded or anything like that.
I didn't say you were narrow-minded. I said you came here with a narrow reason for me to be here.
Because I get asked why somebody's down here.
Yeah.
That's the company's reason.
Oh, well, he
if
came here
says,
for
hey, there's a guy sitting down in the lobby. I've never seen him before. I come down and have conversations, correct?
Sure.
So I just investigate why you're here, and you refuse to answer my questions. So then I had to call my boss.
Yeah.
And I had to say, hey, what do you want me to do? Well, if he doesn't want to give you a medical reason or the reason why he's here, then you can ask him to leave.
Couldn't you see on the camera that I was in the...
No, because I'm not going to sit and follow somebody around a clinic. You're not a missing child.
Okay. But you could have...
That's not my job. My job is to take a complaint that I got and say, there's a gentleman down there and I'm just checking with you,
Okay.
making sure you're okay. Maybe your flu shot made you weak, made you dizzy. You're sitting down, you're having some nutrients. That's fine with me.
Yeah, but I would still have to tell you the reason I was here, and it's personal. So now you know something I didn't want other people to know. A medical reason I was here. I could have told you I was
And
a
I
patient.
have the right to ask. If
Oh,
you're
I'm
being-
sorry.
if you're
I was
being
supposed.
seen,
Yes, I was
or
supposed to
you're
tell
waiting
you
for a patient.
I was a patient, and
Okay,
that you
that's
could
all had to
go
say.
check
That's
on
all
the
I had to say.
computers.
I didn't need your medical reason.
But you asked.
But if you're a patient, then that's fine. But you wouldn't even divulge that. Hey, I was being seen here. You didn't even have to tell me where.
Yeah, I mean, it's still all invasive. It's a personal thing.
And
Being a-
I get where you're coming from, and you have to understand where I'm coming
Yeah,
from.
you
If I
forced
get
me to
someone
tell
who
you.
asks a question about someone sitting down here
Yeah.
for an extended period of time,
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask.
Yeah, coffee. You usually enjoy coffee over a period of time, and you usually.
I'm just saying, that's
yeah,
fine.
and this is what I always do. I may sit for an hour with a cup of coffee,
And I try to be courteous, but when someone says something, I have to
Yeah.
act on it.
Okay.
That's my job.
Okay. All right. So how do you want to conclude
So
this?
the clinic closes at 7. You want to drink
right.
your coffee until 7? That's great.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And then you can, just for prudence, I would like to tell your boss that I think it's normal for people to have a cup of coffee without being interrupted. I think that's a normal expectation.
Well, I can't give you his number,
Okay.
but if you're a patient, that's fine.
All
If you
right.
don't feel good, that's great. But that way, if something happens to you, I can grab medical attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're on a floor that nobody's going to be on in a little bit.
Okay.
Nobody's going to be down here.
Okay.
I worry. So
Okay.
that's the big scope. If you fall or something happens, I may not catch that on camera.
Okay.
I'm busy looking at an urgent care
Okay.
and a flu clinic and a COVID clinic that they're having.
Okay.
You know that because you were here.
Okay.
I'm busy doing other things.
Okay.
But I always have to investigate if someone says anything to me.
You got it.
Okay?
Yep.
It's not intrusive. That's my job.
Yep.
And I apologize if you felt it was intrusive.
I
I
didn't.
apologize if you felt that it was a narrow scope.
I'm not going to lie to you. Immediately, I felt it was intrusive. It wasn't even like a conscious thought. It was an immediate, because I know.
And I get
I
it,
know.
because you're way younger
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
than I am. I just have a job to do, and I have to follow investigations, leads,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd much rather be worrying about my urgent care
Yep.
than worrying about a guy who had a flu shot or if he passed out or something. I just had a lady do that.
Okay.
So was it intrusive for me to ask her if she needed medical help?
Well, when it's obvious she needs help, no. But if she
Well,
wasn't
I
in
don't
need
know.
of help, if she wasn't in need of help,
I
or
don't
it
know.
wasn't like a surface from the surface of her
She
penis.
didn't. She didn't have any surface.
Okay. Well, then, how would you know to ask her if she needed help if there was no signs?
Because someone came in and told me,
Okay, then,
hey,
yeah.
there's a lady sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
I went out and investigated,
Yeah.
offered her medical help.
Okay.
If you needed medical help, I said, are you okay? That was my way of saying, hey, are you okay? It's nothing bad.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
nothing
believe
being
you.
intrusive. I want to make sure you're okay. If you're a patient, I want to make sure all my patients are okay.
Okay. I was fine. I was having a great time. I had a cup of coffee. I had a great appointment. Everything went perfectly,
Right.
and until you interrupted
Well, that
my
does happen
experiences.
sometimes when people get jumpy. And then I go figure it out, and I'm a nice guy, and I understand you're a nice guy. I just go investigate.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. I just
But you
yeah.
answered
yeah.
exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Hey, I was a patient today.
Yeah.
You didn't have to even tell me it was a flu shot.
Yeah. No,
You're a patient today.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doc or like an expert on explaining myself to others. So I didn't know exactly what to say. So I just told you what an average person would say, and when confronted by security, if they were forced to divulge why they were here, and that was a flu shot. I should have told you I was just a patient, and you could have researched whether or not that was true, without actually telling you the reason I came here. But I didn't know those details. I'm not.
And it is private property. But if
Yeah.
you came in off the street, I get some that come off the street,
Yeah.
and they'll sit in my lobby.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're waiting for the bus.
Yeah, and I get
Okay,
that.
I
That's
don't
wrong.
have a problem with it. I ask them if they're okay.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
A question if they're a patient is a better question to ask than
And I
anything
learn
else.
just like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
We learn every day.
Yep. Okay.
But I can get you, there's a customer comment card on the way out the door.
Yeah.
If you want that, you're more than welcome to
Okay.
call them. I
All right.
said, if you're a patient, if you're still, I don't want you waddling. I've had people with
No.
flu shots have different reactions,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Some of them pass out.
Uh huh.
I had a young man pass out.
No, it's okay.
So that's why I said, I'm just checking on you.
Yep.
And you said you're patient. That's fine with me.
Yep. Yep. Okay. I agree. I have a good expectation of this company, this private company. They've always treated me pretty good.
Well, they do. They treat us good.
When someone interrupts the space they give me to enjoy to do this, it's pretty upsetting because I have I've had good experiences in the past, and I've never been interrupted. So when someone does, it's not an experience you're supposed to have.
And I wasn't trying to ruin your experience. I just want to make sure you're okay.
I think you're exercising your authority at the wrong time. And
no, that is my job to make sure if my patients are okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I was a patient, so now your authority was misused, right?
No, not misused at all. That's my job.
Okay. All right. I hope you have an opportunity to use your authority the right way at the right time.
I do.
Moving forward. I hope that's a constant.
It's not my authority when I follow up on people saying something.
Okay. Yeah, but you
That is
should
my
have.
job.
Yeah,
that is technically my job.
Right, and before you came to me, you could have ensured the same freedom you gave those complainants to their target. Like the person I'm sorry, not their target, but the person they were inquiring about. So what you gave them was.
They're too afraid to do that.
No, I'm saying you could have done it.
You're okay.
Right, I'm saying
because everybody minds their own damn business.
Right.
I don't. That's not my job.
I used to have a good perspective of law enforcement and security, and I know that you have the ability to investigate who someone is before you approach them.
And I have no way of knowing your name. I have no way of knowing where you came from.
Oh.
Besides, if I have to sit up there and go through however long you've been here, don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't check.
Oh.
If I have to sit there and field through hundreds of people, it's a flu clinic, right?
Yeah.
Tons of people come in for a flu clinic.
Yeah.
I have to go through all that footage. I would rather make sure that they're not carrying a weapon or a knife.
Yeah.
You obviously passed through our detection system, and you passed.
Yeah.
I don't know when you came in. I'm not going to remember every single face.
Okay.
I do my best to make sure you're okay.
You have an important position. It's a position of gravity. In our society, you have a very, very important position.
And my job is to make sure everybody's okay.
Okay.
And you're okay.
Yep, I'm perfectly fine.
And you're a patient. I just want to make sure you're okay.
All
That's
right.
the whole job.
Okay.
All right.
I hope we both.
I'm not trying to be rude.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to make sure you're okay because you've been sitting there for a while, and I'm like, okay, is he having an allergic response? There's tons of things.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to call a medical team, which I could have a medical team down here, and the factor is, they're going to make sure you're okay.
Yep.
If I see that maybe you're in distress, I'm going to empty a whole clinic just to come down here for you. Doctors, nurses, everything.
Okay.
And they're going to stop what they're doing.
Yep.
My job is to make sure you're okay. You've been sitting there for a while. I said, well, somebody says, oh, you've been sitting there for a while. I have staff members that come out that are doing their business. And if they come to me and saying, hey, can you go check on this guy? They don't know if you're okay. They're minding their own business.
Yep. Okay.
That's all I was asking was, hey, if you were being seen or you were waiting.
Yep.
None of it was negative. I wasn't saying, hey, are you doing something wrong?
Yeah.
You're not.
Yep.
You're not doing anything
Okay.
wrong. But I want to make sure you're okay.
Yep.
That was the whole reason why I came down here. I passed you once. I called my boss.
Yep.
I said, hey, boss, what do you want me to do in this situation?
Yep.
He explained it to a T. If you are not willing to say, hey, I was a medical patient, then why would you be here?
Yeah, but okay, you're right, you're absolutely right. I guess I got enough. I mean, I'm sure someone very smart is going to decide that every patient had rights to their privacy.
My boss prior to even coming back down and talking to me.
But
I said, how would you like me to handle this?
Yeah, he might have gotten things wrong. Your boss might have gotten things wrong. He was supposed to tell you to make sure he's a patient, and if he's not a patient,
and that's why I asked you if you were waiting on a patient or you had been seen.
Yeah,
that was my first comments that I made to you.
Yep.
And I said, are you okay?
Yep. I think that's
I had a young man pass out in the pharmacy because he got a flu shot.
I think there's a mistake that was made. The first step is towards every patient, protecting the patient's privacy and their freedom to enjoy the space offered.
My other job is to protect the public spaces where patients are.
Yeah,
and to make sure I watch them because my doctors aren't out here watching you.
Yep.
I am.
Yep.
I have to make sure that I don't have some lady fall or some guy fall or something medically happens. Because I don't want you in that position, and I definitely don't want to be.
Nope, I don't want to be there either. And I think, all right. I'll just finish my coffee, and then I don't know. I'll figure what to do next from somebody else. But I would like to enjoy my coffee.
If you want that card, I'll give you that card on the way out the door.
Nah, that's all right. I'll jump through the hoops, but to get to write the complaint. But that's all right.
Well, that's my job. Sorry.
Nope. Take care.
Have a good day.